Welcome to WLNM, the web novel and manga review, hosted by Zeke Changuris.
Welcome to the WLNM podcast, the podcast dedicated to the creatives and professionals driving the independent entertainment industry. I'd like to welcome TakuNeri, the author of TakuNeri, Volume 1, My Love is a Princess, I'm Her Knight, a romantic comedy about a shy cat boy and a half-alien princess. So welcome. And so tell me, just from that short little blurb that I pulled off your site, explain this to me. We've got cat boys and alien princesses. So we've got a nice mix here.
Okay, got it. It's basically set on a planet called Caladria, which is sci-fi and fantasy based. It's basically got 5 countries called Draloon, Tamarin, Warethia, Kaeldori, and Nephrine, and they're all similar to countries on Earth, like America, Japan, so on.
Okay, all right. So I understand they start off as childhood friends. I tend to root for the childhood friend a lot, and they often get the shaft. They're never chosen. So what is the, I guess, the spark that sets their story?
Well, basically, when they were younger, Takumi, the cat boy, he visited an event with Nerisu, the half alien girl, and they became childhood friends like when they were about 4 or 5 years old. I don't really remember. I'm also very fond of the childhood friend trope, so I tend to include it a lot in my stories.
So, okay, well, speaking about your stories, as you pluralize that, so what got you started telling stories? Were you the kind of person who was always telling stories, or is it something that you came into later?
Technically, my first few stories were made in 2010 or so. But back then, I didn't really have the motivation to complete a story. So
I wouldn't worry about that one, because there are plenty of us with plenty of stories sitting in files on our desktops that we've never finished. Plenty of abandoned children.
Yeah, sorry about that. Basically, I got more into writing my own series back in 2014 when I started role-playing as my own characters. Role-play plays a very big part in how I created my characters and Caladria and stuff like that.
Well, that's an interesting way. That's actually a more original way that I've heard. A lot of people, they're like, well, they are doing tabletop gaming, or they were writing fan fiction, or they're just one of those children that started off telling stories and they just couldn't stop. And you've come at it from a very different angle, basically kind of creating backstory for your characters.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's a fascinating way to do it. Yeah, I mean, I guess the best way to say it, I started off writing fan fiction. I didn't know it was called fan fiction when I started writing it in 5th grade, but that's what it is. So yeah. It's hey, I tell the kids, don't worry, it's just like when your teacher gave you a prompt. Yeah. So but so you felt the need that you did creating those backstories help you, I guess, in a way, fill out that role play?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun writing with other people. I don't really do it as often now, but I want to get back into it so I can get more inspiration for my light novels.
Well, that's it. Hey, it's good if you can find a group of people that you can bounce ideas off of. I know uh, I've had I haven't had a lot of people in my life that I could bounce story ideas off of. Unfortunately, I'm married to someone who listens to me yammer on when we're driving in the car places, and I can bounce things off of her. But it's not really a collaboration. It's more of a sounding board.
Ah,
Yeah,
that sounds nice though.
it is. She's a very tolerant woman. Let's put it that way. Because her husband has some very strange ideas at times, and she just has to sit there and listen to them. But so, um, what kind of thing inspires you when you're writing? I mean, there are many of us who, you know, take inspiration from what's around them or what they're watching. What inspires you?
I think stuff like anime and light novels, also visual novels. Visual novels play a big part, and that's why I started writing as well.
Okay,
Um,
so yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, because the Caladria universe is based off some series like a certain magical index. Yeah, stuff like that.
All right, so um, is there any visual novels though that like stick out in your head as things as something uh that is a must read?
I'd really recommend Steins Gate and the Virtue's Last Reward series. Well, the yes, the one with the escape room
Okay.
games and stuff like that. Yeah, they're very good. I also like Steam Prison. It was I beta tested it at one point, and it was one of the routes was very cute. So
Okay, have you ever thought of like trying to get into that genre yourself?
yeah, I actually got into it before I started working hard on light novels.
Okay, yeah, I've always thought it was a fascinating idea, and I've played around with it, but it's when I think, then I look back and I'm like, okay, I need this. I make the list of elements I need to create something, and it just gets very, very overwhelming for this guy who learned how to type on a actual typewriter. So
Ooh.
yeah, I know. Yeah, clickety clack clack was how I learned how to type. So sometimes I do feel overwhelmed by things like that. But it's they visual novels I think fascinate me as a genre because they remind me as a kid. Um, did you ever see a choose your own adventure book?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what they remind me of, and it's a nostalgia thing for me. A little bit like choose your own adventure novels from when I was a kid. So yeah, they're kind of like a little flashback. Um, when you're writing, what's the favorite? What's your favorite part of it? Is it the plot? Is it the world building? What what do you feel like you excel at? What you really enjoy doing?
According to people, I'm pretty good at world building and writing fluffy scenes.
Oh, fluffy scenes. Like did there was an anime that was like pure fluff called As Miss Beelzebub Likes It.
Oh,
Um,
I've heard of it. Yeah.
yes, and when I think of fluff, I think of that because you have all the patrons of hell, and they're all like fluffy lolitas with one just completely loves like sheep and anything fluff and plush, and it's a it's like the most unhell version of hell you've ever seen, but it's absolutely adorable because all they want to do is eat sweets and take naps, which I don't have a problem with at all. Eating.
That's fair.
So when you're world building, do you start out with a like an image and build out from there? I just watched a documentary on Miyazaki, and all of his films, the stories, they start off with he drew a picture, and then he doesn't start with a script. He starts with a picture and then builds a story around that picture. How do you start your world building?
Usually I think about what I want to write and I come up with ideas to shape that. Then I usually sometimes I look around at other series and see what they've done and then implement it in my own way.
I mean, that's a good idea. To be able to, when you can sample things, I mean, and pull in some of the best ideas that you can to, you know, uh, as someone once said about Japan itself. Japan is very famous for taking other people's ideas and making them their own. It doesn't, they tend to take a lot of foreign influence and then adopt that and turn it into their own thing. And I think, there's a lot to be said for taking that inspiration and then finding a way to take it further.
Mm,
Do
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just said yeah.
Okay. All right. So what, in your novel, what part of it are you most proud of? Is it just like, oh my God, I finished? Yes. Thank God I finished. Or is there a scene where you feel like I hit that one out of the park. I scored a try on that one. It's a really good scene that I'm surprised I wrote.
Hmm. I think I'm most proud of finishing the series in general. Like this, I currently released one volume, and the next one is coming soon because I'm working on getting the art done for it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, my series I plan on them being pretty short, like around 2 volumes, 2 to 3, or
Okay.
even 4 volumes max. So yeah.
There's something to be said for a quick read. I like what I call like a read by the pool or a read by the weekend. If I can sit down with a book and read it from cover to cover in a weekend, I really feel like I've accomplished something and I've gone on a really good trip.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a great way for me to relax. What kind of characters do you like to write? Is there a particular kind you like to write?
Uh oh, I really enjoy writing energetic characters like Nerine herself. She's probably my favorite character I've ever made.
Is it because that there's lots of dialogue, or they're just you feel like that character's energy bleeds through the page into the reader?
I think it's because um it's just fun to write, like just someone who's not all gloomy. But I can write a variety of characters. It's just I tend to have the energy, like the dynamic whereas one energetic, one's more calm. Like I find myself writing that often, so I'm trying to branch out.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot of people. I mean, as we know, we've met lots of people in our lives, and you know, it's those caricatures of those people that tend to make it onto the screen, or onto the page. Like I was trying to describe, anime is like, in a way, it's like kabuki. If you've ever seen kabuki, where the gestures are big and the way things are done is a little over dramatic, because
Mhm.
you need that presence, because it isn't real life, it's stage. You need that presence to jump off the page or jump out of the TV screen for you. So I find that it's very appropriate to think that when you take a character and you need to, they can't just be energetic. You kind of need to raise that level a little bit higher than we typically do, especially in the light novel genre, because light novels are filled with a very diverse group of uh, I want to say odd characters, interesting characters. There's always a lot of weirdos in light novels. They're very esoteric.
Yeah, I can. That's definitely true.
But they make us enjoy the genres because in a way we kind of know what to expect. I like tropes. Some people say, oh, well, there's so many tropes. I like them. It's like when you sit down for your favorite meal, you know what to expect. And it's like home cooking. It's something that fills you up because you're like, yeah, I don't have to think too much. I can just enjoy what I'm reading.
Yeah, I like tropes as well. I've been browsing TV tropes since like a decade. No, like 10 years ago.
It's it's something that I think that some people look down on, but because they think that, oh, well, why can't you come up with an original idea? Well, I'll tell you this. I have seen some things in anime and light novels, and I'm like, I don't know where you're from, but I don't think I ever would have considered, a cat girl, a goddess who's useless, and a loli that can blow shit up. So, you know, I I don't know where their realities are, but mine are like, wow, this is weird, and I like it. So, uh, do you ever have trouble writing? Do you get stuck? And when you do, how do you try and find your way out?
Sometimes I hit a wall when I'm writing. So one of my things that I usually do is ask others for info, for like ideas, or I come up with a new character because the latter seems to really help me pretty often.
Do you find you have to go back and, in a way, dump out sometimes though, because you've created a line in your plot and you get to that point and you're like, wait a second, where's that plot going? And you have to back up the train a bit to and
Mm,
set it in a different direction? Or are you very meticulous in the way you're plotting your stories out?
I sometimes I find myself having to write chapters in between, but usually I self-edit it. So that's when I change parts that I keep track of.
So well, in you mentioned self-editing, and I know we all do that in a way, as we're writing. Do you have a reliable editor that you go to, or do you have to really outsource that to a professional?
I heard that it's wise to do it first before going to an editor, but um one editor, she worked with me on TakuNeri, but I can't really. I think her service is more expensive now, so I plan on going to someone else.
Okay, well, I mean, trust me, a good editor, regardless, good beta readers, are worth, you know, uh, I'm trying to think, are worth their weight in gold. A good beta reader is worth their weight in gold. To have someone who is willing to sit and read your book and give you good feedback is really helpful.
Yeah, you're right.
So, um, in your writing process, do you map things out, or is it more of a discovery process? You have the scenario and you go from there.
For me, I write down a premise of each chapter, and sometimes I outline it fully, and other times I just go from the first sentence I write in the outline.
Okay. So I really like the artwork on your cover. I know some writers are very involved in how the art is designed, and others really trust the artist to take what they're thinking. But I also know some that do a really rough sketch and they're like, here, this is what I want it to look like, and then give it to an artist. How does your art process work?
I'm an artist as well, so sometimes I draw references or I use ones that I find on the internet or Pinterest, but I do design my characters. I also like to use this character maker called Carrot and Picroos because they're fun to mess with.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Yeah, I am not an artist in any way, shape, or form, but I'm very good at supporting them at this point because I have them make OCs that I use in my classroom. So, I have my own Microsoft Word Chan, PowerPoint Chan, and Excel Chan, and Windows 10 Chan. So, yeah, I use those in my classroom, and to me, making Microsoft Excel anime girl really brightens up the room. So
that's very cute.
so what authors do you admire?
When it comes to light novels, I'd say Brandon Barnell.
Okay, Brandon, love Brandon, talked to him multiple times. We've actually been Twitter friends for quite a while now. I really enjoy Brandon.
Yeah, he's lovely. I think we're friends as well. I treasure our friendship.
Yeah, Brandon is what that special kind of writer that wrote like obsessive, like, can you imagine writing the number of words he used to write in a day? He'd sit down in the morning and write 20,000 words by evening, and some of us work a year to get that far.
Oh wow! I thought he only did 4,000 words a day.
No, he's stepping back a little bit, but during his most prolific phase, for a couple years, he was just cranking out the words. It was amazing, and I was very envious for a very long time.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, because I can't imagine that much coming out and not being absolutely burnt out. I mean, it was a struggle when I wrote one novel and to not feel completely exhausted by the end. And he works on multiple ones. So yeah, he's a big. I think he's a good example for an independent writer to look up to because he's had an amazing work ethic, and put out a lot of work to take a good look at.
Yeah.
So what are you watching or reading right now?
Good question. I was recommended that Banished from the Heroes Party. I think that one. And
That's really
another
good.
one, yeah, another one I really like and need to start watching the second season of is Mushoku Tensei.
Yes, that's also good. Yes. Both the animes and the light novels of both of those series are pretty good. And I just love Rit and Ren from Banished from the Heroes Party. They're just too adorable. I mean, they're like the cutest little couple ever.
Yeah, I really love fluffy romances like that. So I really need to catch up soon. It's just I have to wait like a week because I don't have the subscription to Funimation.
Yeah. Well, who knows how things are going to work out soon, because since Funimation is also owned by this same company that owns Crunchyroll at this point, we have no idea what's going to happen in the future.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Though I suggested something to read is called Sexiled.
Oh, I've heard of that.
It is
Oh, sorry.
it is amazing. It really is. The writer is, they've only written this one series from what I remember, and it is amazing. It really is. It's about this woman who gets kicked out of the party because of gender discrimination, and then just teams up with like this ancient mage, and the two of them turn society on its head. It's spectacular. You probably will really enjoy reading that one.
Got it. I'll check it out. Another series I really like is Demon's Dilemma.
Demon's Dilemma.
Oh, Demon's Dilemma, I think.
Okay, I don't think
Elf Bride.
I don't. Oh, Elf Bride. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've seen that like in my Amazon suggested reading, but I haven't read it.
Oh, I
So
really recommend it. It's very fluffy and
very
wholesome.
fluffy. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need that now and then because, and I try to avoid some of the ones that really, occasionally I'll read the harder ones, but I've the sweet spot definitely for me has been the ones that mix that those are somewhere in the middle, like uh, the realist hero who rebuilt the kingdom. I've read that.
Mm-hmm.
I've read that entire series like three. I'm on my third read through at this point, waiting for the next novel to come out because I enjoy it that much.
That sounds really nice.
Yeah, it really is when you find something you like and you can go back to it and read them again. So what can we expect in the future from you? What do you got coming down the pipeline?
Well, at the moment, I've written two more volumes of another like series to do with Caladria, and I've also been expanding on the universe. Like, uh, in the series I'm currently writing, there's in heaven you can create like planets and trees, cities. Like if you're an angel who wants to be a god or demigod, that's what I'm working on right now.
That's actually quite fascinating concept. I like that. Well, when you get that out there, make sure you let me know and we can come and talk about that one.
Yes, I'd love to.
All right. So I want to thank you for talking with us, as I use the royal us today. And we look forward to seeing the rest of your series and this new series that you're coming out with. Uh, and if our listeners like what you've heard and you want to hear more, click the subscribe button. And until next time, keep reading.
This has been a WLNM podcast.